Speaking of championships, we got to talk Class 5A. The Carl Albert Titans take down Bishop McGuinness. This was a good old 5A2 showdown once again. 5A2 continues to be one of the dominant districts throughout the state of Oklahoma. Of course, Carl Albert with 16 state titles now. Bishop McGuinness has 2 state titles in Class 4A, but they get to the state championship game. They just got that CA logo they can't get past right now. Guthrie had some championships in there. Deer Creek was in 5A2 for a while. Shawnee was in 5A2 for a while. Piedmont made the state semifinals last year.
Was good for a while.
Easton, yeah. So, but Carl Albert 33-21 in a really entertaining ball game. And it came down to the second half. It came down to some Ben Harris big-time plays on the fake punt. As you guys said, probably wasn't a called fake. He just made a great call and a great athletic move to get the first down. And the thing, looking back on this game, and hopefully everyone was able to catch the broadcast that we were able to do, but I went back today and looked at the numbers. In the second half, Bishop McGuinness had the football for like 5 minutes and 12 seconds. The entire second half, those drives that Carl Albert put on was what we come to learn with or see every year in Carl Albert is just long death drives of 17 plays.
Yeah, and Phil, I think we mentioned at the top of the show that one of the biggest keys was the opposite of that. Bishop McGuinness needed to be the one that played 3 or 4 yards at a time and converted third downs, converted fourth down, kept drives alive like Carl Albert did, and that script flipped on them.
Yeah, I think it flipped. I was of the belief that McGuinness had to score in the 40s to win the game. I didn't think that they could stand up to the Carl Albert offense. And then the other thing we got to point out, Luke Tarman was not 100% through 3/4 of that game. He did something to his ankle or his lower leg in kind of the end of the first quarter. And I was even more impressed with the young man because he just gutted it out and just kept competing and still had a really good ball game. He just wasn't his explosive self that everybody's accustomed to. But Carl Albert, we've said it all year, the class of 5A, it's not close. Now, you go look at their starting lineups. They are graduating a ton of senior football players, a ton. And so I think 5A opens up a little bit next year. I think now you got some Guthries, you got some McGuinness will be back up there again. You got Collinsville, you've got the McAllisters, the Coetas, you've got some of these teams that have an opportunity to get back into the hunt for that gold ball because, I don't care what anybody says, you graduate Ben Harris, a 4-year starter. Oh, by the way, all he did every year in his high school career is throw for over 2,200 yards every season. It's going to be tough to replace him. Their interior lines are graduating a ton of kids. Now they still got probably the best player in 5A coming back.
Yeah.
And big number 45 and Carl Albert will reload. I'm just saying for me, it's not a foregone conclusion. To be quite frank, the last 3 or 4 seasons going into the season, Chris and I, we'd all talk about it. And I go, well, who's going to finish second to Carl Albert? Because it really wasn't a discussion. I think they were just head and shoulders better than everybody in 5A. And I think going into 2021, it's going to open up. So it should be good. But it was a great ball game. I like the fact that Ben Harris went out the way I think a kid like that should go out, winning a gold ball. I think we were laughing during the broadcast. I said, can you imagine Ben Harris when he's 35 years old? He's got a little pooch to his belly. He's on a business trip talking to his coworkers. And he says, he said, I won 4 state titles, lost 2 games in my career, quarterback. And they're going to go, bull, and then they Google it and go, holy smokes. Yeah, you really did that. I mean, cause it's so unbelievable. It's so unbelievable to go 52 and 54, win 4 state titles and be a 4-year starter at the position of quarterback and throw for 10,000 yards in your career. What an unbelievable career for the young man, Ben Harris. So, and he seems like, I've never seen him do anything cheap or anything that it would ever embarrass the Carl Albert brand. So you got to believe he's a squared away kid, and so you like seeing kids that do it the right way have success. So I was I was happy to see that.
Ben Harris, 17 of 21 passing, 195 yards, had the touchdown throw as well. And I think he could have ran the ball a lot more in his career, but Coach Corley didn't have to, playing it safe when you had those two running backs and don't want to get him hurt. But, Ben Harris, 52-2 as a Class 5A starting quarterback with 4 state champions goes a long way. Kentrell Bazell, he's going to want all these seniors to come back with him next year, but he'll have a new cast around him. But Kentrell Bazell, offensively and defensively, will be among the top names that we hear next year in recruiting. But Kentrell in the 5A title game, 19 carries, 106 yards, 3 touchdown runs as he averaged almost 6 yards a carry.
And most of them out of the Trojan horse?
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any question. Bazell, I think he's going to make his living on the defensive side of the ball at the next level, although he's a very good running back. And I'll just simply say this. If the Hunt kid is an SEC school recruit, Bazell's at least that. I mean, he is head and shoulders the best player on that football team. Would you disagree with that?
He was definitely the best runner for sure, and he was one of the leading tacklers defensively. So I don't know how you wouldn't you can't put him up there.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes down to Bazell or Harris. I mean, I'm sure there would votes would go back and forth because Ben Harris, the way he delivers. I mean, he got this starting job because of an injury his freshman year, and then he's got this player, he's got that player. I mean, I could quarterback Carl Albert. They leave, and then it goes more of a running game. They spread it out a little bit more. So Harris and Bazell, I'm sure would, if you talk to Carl Albert fans out there, would get some votes. But especially the ceiling's up there for him on D1 level.
Yeah. But I will say this about Ben Harris too. 2 or 3 different times last Saturday night during we were calling the game as a punter, he impacted the game as a punter, whether it was pinning them down on their inside the 3-yard line on some great punts, or that fake punt that you alluded to earlier, Chris. It was kind of his call. It's one of those judgment calls you get to make when you're a 4-year starting quarterback and your coach trusts you unconditionally. If you see it, go get it. I guarantee you that's the conversation. And because it didn't look like a drawn up fake punt, but all that really did was ice the whole thing. I mean, It was just, he's a kid that rose to the occasion and has to go down as having one of the best high school football careers of any quarterback ever to play 5A football in Oklahoma.
Carl Albert wins it. Final score 33-21 to claim their 16th state championship. All that from 1989 on. And for the second time in their program history, they've won 5 state championships in a row. Just an unbelievable run there. Head coach Coach Corley over there, also 52-2 as he finishes the 4th season at Carl Albert with those 4 state championships.